Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Debra Pinkerton. Welcome to a special edition of Morning Light. The U.S. and Israel launched a joint military strike against Iran, Operation Epic Fury, on Saturday.
And the airstrikes killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, along with other senior officials, including the defense minister, secretary of the Iranian Security Council, and the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. There are reports the CIA was tracking his movement for months. Iranians then took to the streets when they heard the news.
And here's what President Donald Trump had to say about Khamenei's death.
This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries.
Since the attack, more than 200 Iranians died and nearly 750 across the country are seriously injured. The operation also sank 9 Iranian vessels. 5 U.S. service members are confirmed dead. And President Donald Trump says, unfortunately, more U.S. deaths are expected.
And Iran is retaliating with launching hundreds of missiles and dozens of drone strikes across targeting Israel, regional U.S. bases, and several Gulf nations. Kuwait mistakenly shot down 3 American fighter jets overnight. All 6 aircrew members are in stable condition. The president says the military campaign is expected to last up to 4 weeks.
An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons, would allow them to extort the world to their evil will.
The waves of violence are impacting the region with disrupting travel and slowing the flow of oil. Lawmakers in the House and Senate will receive classified briefings tomorrow on this ongoing conflict.
But this morning we wanted to get a broader perspective on the significance of this weekend's events. Well, joining us is Chris Mitchell. He's been the longtime CBN News correspondent in the Middle East. And Chris, you've just returned back to Jerusalem. You flew in just in the nick of time with the missiles flying in, airports shutting down. Give me a sense of what your initial reaction was to the events over the weekend.
Well, it actually started Saturday morning here, local time. And I guess many people were anticipating this for actually several weeks. The question here in Jerusalem had been, is the war beginning this weekend? Well, finally, it did begin on Saturday morning. We expected the retaliation from Iran like it had back in April and October of 2024, June 2025 during the 12-day war. And we're getting missiles here just a couple of hours ago. There was probably a missile very close to where I'm sitting right now. I could hear the explosion very clearly and actually felt some of the concussion. There was also tragically a hit in Tel Aviv, and earlier today in Bet Shemesh, I believe total people of 9 people have been killed. So we're expecting, had expected that retaliation, but from what it seems to be happening inside Iran right now is this Operation Epic Fury and Operation Roaring Lion, as they call it here in Israel, is going maybe according to plan and maybe ahead of schedule.
Just for a little bit of wide-shot context, when we see protests around the world, Munich, New York, London, in support of regime change in Iran, and you see the Israeli flag and the rising sun and the lion, the old Iranian flag, what is the relationship between Iran and Israel? Historically, what has it been, and what do you sense it could be after a potential regime change?
Well, biblically, it goes back to King Cyrus, who helped the Jewish people return to Israel and rebuild the second Jewish temple. So there is a long-standing relationship between the people of Persia and the people of Israel. Tomorrow, I should say Monday night, is the beginning of Purim, which is the story in the Bible of the book of Esther, where a beautiful Jewish queen is actually used by God to help thwart the plans of Haman, who has wanted to annihilate the Jewish people. A lot of people here in Israel, and I think Jews around the world, and many believing Christians see that as a biblical parallel to what's happening right now, where a wicked ruler Khomeini, who's actually just been killed, had plotted and really spent much of his life trying to destroy the Jewish people and the state of Israel. Looking forward, Jeff, some people are hoping and praying that we know that the Abraham Accords have brought a normalization between some Arab countries and Israel. They're looking as well to the Cyrus Accords, where this relationship between Israel and the people of Persia could be restored.
So what was the relationship before the Iranian Revolution, before 1979? What did that look like? There were flights, there was trade, there seemed to be, but there was a deeper affinity between Israelis and the Persian people, it seems.
Yeah, and like I said, that goes back thousands of years. Before 1979, there was that kind of trade and relationship. Iran, many people may not know, that it was a very Western kind of country, and here in Israel there are many people of Iranian descent who still have connections to the people and maybe family members back in Iran as well. So it was a very, very good relationship with the Shah of Iran and the people of Israel before 1979.
Give me a sense of how much you think the Israeli people can tolerate. They have been through a lot these past couple of years. There is a sense, I think, worldwide that a regime change could be a wonderful moment of peace for the Middle East, but it also carries a great deal of complexity. How long are the Israeli people, you think, willing to tolerate an extended or prolonged, protracted engagement in Iran?
I think, Jeff, they'll go as long as it takes. Ever since October 7th, they've been through a very, very difficult time, and even before that, but October 7th took it up to a new level. They have seen over this 2.5 years plus, most of the enemies that had surrounded them on a 7-front war, a shell of what they were, and now, right now, is the head of the octopus that had these tentacles all over the Middle East. They had Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, militias in Iraq and Syria, and also elements inside Judea and Samaria. So now, on the cusp of maybe seeing this octopus once and for all led to its demise, I think they'll do what they can. They will hang on. They've been so resilient. I came here in 2000 and then just a few weeks after we arrived was the second Intifada. So they have been through many, many difficult times. I think they're resilient, and they will go through this time as well, and hopefully see finally the demise of this entity that really had committed day by day that they were going to death to Israel, and also, by the way, death to the U.S.
So do you have any sense of what the plan is? If there's any criticism in America that seems to be gaining steam, there is a line of attack on congressional authorization, but it really is linked to what the plan is post Khomeini. Yep. What does it look like? What do you think it looks like? Is it Pahlavi? Is there another figure that is emerging beyond the Crown Prince? Who is on the ground there? And then what do you do with the Iranian military, the IRGC, that is 1 million man strong? What possibly could any new administration in Iran do without the significant support of, or at least a chunk of the military peeling off?
Yeah, it's a great question. Their hope is that now that much of the senior military leadership and the Ayatollah himself have been eliminated, that will create a set of conditions where many of the lower level officials will either accept the immunity that President Trump has extended to them. They may defect to the people on the streets, or they may even try to leave the country. I've heard a report of that earlier today, that some are trying to just get out of the country. It is a dilemma to know that there are, a maybe 1 million man strong army, the IRGC, the Bajis, all, favorable and committed to the regime. What will happen to them? And the hope is that they will either defect or they can be convinced to accept that immunity. There is Pahlavi is the one man that I have kept hearing from inside Iran,
Yes.
as well as outside. And I think he is the man right now who has a plan, as a 6-month transition plan, to come in there and lead Iran back to democratic institutions and lead to elections within 6 months. It may not be easy because there may be guerrilla warfare. You have a lot of people there with weapons, and they may still be committed to the regime and to their brand of Shia Islam. So it may not be easy, but that's the plan going forward.
It's just in our remaining time together, I want to talk a little bit about the persecuted church. There is some estimates, 6 to 10 million new believing Christians inside Iran. No way to verify that, but you've got groups like Elam International who are dealing, they say, with hundreds, up to close to 1,000 churches, house churches, illegal churches, but Christian churches that they've been resourcing over the past 5 or 10 years. What is your sense of what comes next for the church in Iran, which has been flourishing under oppression? What is your prediction of what might happen if Iran suddenly opens up and the freedom of religion becomes one of the signature benefits of being a citizen of Iran?
Yeah, well, you mentioned one ministry. There are other ministries that have been working with the underground church for these many years. It really is a phenomenon, and I think people really need to understand that there is a vibrant underground church right now that we can stand with, that we can pray for. And I know the hope for them in prayer is that if and when the regime does fall, that the gospel could go forth in a much greater way, a much more public way throughout all the people of Iran. And, many of these believers have come to faith through dreams and visions, really Holy Spirit phenomenon. And they hope that when the regime falls, that they could spread the gospel not only inside Iran, but also to the wider Middle East and around the world. So I think it's so important for people in the West to be aware of what they're doing, to speak up for them, and to pray for them at this critical moment for the country and for the gospel.
Just a closing thought on there's a great deal of fatigue, as you know, around the world with the number of events that seem to be coming fast, furious. You've got Nigeria, you've got Cuba, you've got Venezuela, and then you have this continuous eruption, but this concentration now of attention on the Middle East. What is your sense, what is your message, I'd say rather, to people in our audience who say this is just another war? This seems to not be just another conflict, just another war, that the significance has a great deal of history perhaps being written for a lot of people, including the people of Israel.
Yeah, I think history is being written as we speak, and some people would see this also from a prophetic lens. Jesus said in Matthew 24, Luke 21, and when he was on the Mount of Olives, not too far away from where I'm sitting, there would be nation rising against nation, wars and rumors of wars. I think we may be in those times right now. And what did he say? He said, when you see these things happen, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. Whether that's a few days, a few weeks, many years, we need to be drawing close to him whenever that time comes, to be ready for his appearing, but also be to doing the good works that he had prepared for all of us even before the foundation of the world.
Well, Chris, I know you have been for many, many years a major encouragement to the people in our audience, bringing those frontline reports from Israel and the rest of the Middle East. We wish certainly God's blessing and protection on you and your family and your ministry there in the Holy Land. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Great to be with you.
Chris. Well, coming up next on Morning Light, as we told you, Iran is retaliating. We will get a frontline report from Israel where dozens have been injured up next. And this is a live look over the Western Wall and Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Please join us in prayer for God's protection over the entire region. You're watching Morning Light right here on Lighthouse TV.
Welcome back. Iran retaliated quickly in response to Operation Epic Fury. The first wave of missiles was directed toward Israel. At least 10 people are dead and hundreds injured. Magen Adom is Israel's national emergency services system. Joining us is Uri Shacham, Deputy Director and Chief of Staff. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning, Debra. Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us how your job was immediately impacted.
Well, immediately on Saturday morning, the men and women of Magen Adom, 39,000 volunteers from all communities, Druze, Christians, Muslim, and Jews, joined together to make sure that thousands of ambulances are manned, because we knew that the Iranians will retaliate once the strike has commenced. And within 2 hours, Debra, 2 hours, we have been struck by ballistic missiles. Now, just for our audience to understand, we are talking about 1,000 pounds of explosive landing from the sky, and you can see how devastating they are. They can take down a whole block or cause massive damage. And we are talking about dozens to hundreds of casualties for each and every one of these events. This is something that we experienced 8 months ago on June, but this is relatively new for the people of Israel and for the people of Magen Adom.
So what types of injuries are we talking about? I saw that a 10-year-old girl was seriously injured.
Well, indeed, we are encountering both blast injuries, which are hard to assess in the field because sometimes there is internal bleeding and you can not see anything evident. We also see shrapnel injuries, and of course, a lot of emotional stress. Even people that are not directly hit, or their home is not directly hit, when 1,000-pound missile lands a quarter of a mile from your house, it is very frightening. It is very scary, and people are impacted. Hundreds of people in Israel are impacted by these attacks.
And so it's your role to go out and reach all of these people who have been injured. So you're like the International Red Cross.
Indeed, we are Israel, as you mentioned, we are Israel's emergency medical services affiliated with the International Red Cross. But our role focuses on providing immediate medical care via a fleet of thousands of ambulances, and also by collecting and providing blood to anybody who is in need. Now, let me tell you this, Debra. The men and women of Magen Adom are running to fire when all Israelis are called and instructed to go into shelters and stay to shelters. You can see the videos of Magen Adom going to the streets, going and helping people who they don't know, which reminds me the story of the Good Samaritan, who helped somebody who he never knew just because he was a human being. And this is what Magen Adom people are actually doing in Israel.
Wow, it is certainly amazing. Tell us, what is the feeling among people there about what's taking place?
Well, first of all, people are trying to deal with the stress, because running to shelter all day long and knowing that that you maybe struck your life is actually in danger throughout the day. It's not easy, and it's been lasting for 3 days now. On the other hand, people understand that we are living in historical times, and there might be a historical change in Iran. I want to remind everyone that the supreme leader of Iran, his life mission was to destroy Israel. So when I, as an Israeli, know that somebody who wanted to annihilate me, to kill me, my kids, and my people is no longer here, then I'm saying, okay, I understand that these are hectic times. Nevertheless, we understand that this might lead to a brighter future, for not only for the people of Israel, but for the entire world.
For you personally, what is this like for you and for your family?
It's not easy. I am now staying at Magen David Adom National Emergency Dispatch Center near Tel Aviv. And while my role and the other people's role here is to oversee the emergency response for the entire country, my family back home is staying hours and hours in the shelter. It's taking its emotional toll. But my kids and my wife understand that I play a vital role for the nations, and they give me the strength to continue in doing what I doing. Now, I'm not the only one, because we have, as I mentioned, 39,000 more people who their families support them and allow them to do their sacred mission of saving lives.
And how is your response? What do you think about the Christian response to this attack?
This is amazing, Debra, because if you ask the common Israeli, does the Christian community support Israel? And people are not aware of how magnificent and how huge is the Christian support. It's not only making Magen David Adom be better prepared for this historical event and this historical war, but it also strengthens our spirit. It also makes us do what we do more confident that we have our brothers and sisters supporting us. And I think that at the end of the day, the Christian community and the people of Israel share the same values. The values of protection of life, the values of living together, supporting your community, supporting your neighbor. And this is our role to tell the story, not only within my wonderful organization, but the people of Israel as a whole. And if I may add one more thing, I would encourage people to go and learn more about our role in saving lives in Israel. Just if you can go to savinglivesinisrael.org, that's savinglivesinisrael.org, and see how the men and women of Magen David Adom are running to fire each and every day for the sake of others.
Yes, certainly. And what everyone is praying for is peace, because how do you go about each day? I mean, is it something where people are getting back to their daily lives, or is it something where you're just sort of sheltering in place?
So currently, in the last few days, the people of Israel are required to remain near the shelters. So no education system whatsoever. Only very specific workplaces are open, and the security forces are doing constant estimation of the situation, understanding what is the threat for the population. Nevertheless, once the people of Israel know that they have a very good protective system, the Iron Dome, the THAAD that we get from the United States, and Magen David Adom on the ground, I think that will allow us a few more days of assuring that the spirit is high, that the morale is high, and as I mentioned, we are looking forward to any developments that will come.
Uri, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing this insight. We certainly will be praying for you.
Thank you so much. And we really appreciate if you would pray for the success of Magen David Adom's women and men. May the Lord grant them the force and the strength to continue and save anyone that comes in their way in their work. Thank you so much.
And once again, if you are interested in making a donation to MDA, visit savinglivesinisrael.org. And it's amazing what's going over there, and really how life has just sort of stopped for everyone.
Debra, what I think you get a sense of from both of these conversations this morning is that in Iran and in Israel, there has been a long wait for some kind of change because they have been held in such fear and anxiety and tension for decades now. And if this is the end, I think universally, no matter where you stand on all of the political issues, you can pray and hope for a Middle East that steps into the 21st century and is not in under the perpetual threat of war. And those are the conversations I've been having with people in Iran and people in Israel. They both share the same goal.
Right. It is the same goal, praying for peace. And as we heard in your interview, there are so many Iranians who want to share the gospel, and this is something that could happen.
Iranians just want the privilege of believing for themselves and finding out what they believe in on their own.
That's right. Stay with us. We are back right after the break.
Welcome back, where we're so thankful that you joined us for our coverage of these extraordinary events this morning. A few years ago, my wife Rebecca and I stayed at a beautiful hotel on the Palm in Dubai. Over the weekend, that same hotel was set ablaze by an Iranian missile, one of hundreds sent indiscriminately and scattered across the Middle East by an angry, wounded regime. The hotel? Well, it was probably one of the safest in the world from a human standpoint, that is. All the security marks were checked. Until this past weekend when it wasn't. But think about it. The same goes for the new wall and the spikes around the governor's mansion, or the security camera connected to your front doorbell. Somehow those intent on doing evil always seem to find a way in. For believing Christians walking through a world on fire, there is only one safe place, and it's not in a bunker or behind a high wall. As the psalmist says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. The safest place in the world today is wherever you go with God. For Debra and the entire Morning Light team, I'm Jeff Coleman. Thanks for watching and joining us in this important conversation. We'll be back with more coverage tomorrow. Go check on your neighbors, pray for peace. We'll look for you again tomorrow morning.